Hare Krishna. My apologies for the lag here. Okay, so before I begin the talk, let's start with the Jai Radha Madhava prayers. So I'm sure most of you are already familiar. So you see this Jai Radha Madhava, it's a song, it's on the board, so we'll be singing that, so just follow along, okay? Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Hare Krishna. Welcome to everyone to today's Sunday program. Unfortunately, it's me giving the lecture. Apologies for that. So, I've prepared a theme for today's talk. I'll just bring the theme on the screen so that you all can see it. Screen. So you all should be able to see it now. Is it visible?
Yeah.
So today's theme of the lecture is, can anyone read that theme? Resurrection of divine nature. Yes. Does it sound familiar? Anyone?
Yeah, isn't Sunday, I guess.
That's it? Yes. So, to be honest, I just came across this word few hours back. I never heard of this word before, so to be honest, I just learned this word just few hours back. So don't be surprised, if you haven't come across this word. So, as everyone knows, today is Easter Sunday. So we will see how the lecture goes, and what actually is the resurrection. So anyway, we'll go through what resurrection is as well during the talk, but that's just part of the talk. Another important aspect of the talk is something else. Actually, that is what I planned. Then Chaitanya Prabhupada requested if I could include something related to Easter as well. So everything fits in the theme, so that's really good. Okay. Right. So before I start, I'll ask a question to everyone. Has everyone been following news nowadays? How many of you follow the news? Okay, a couple of hands. So what's the hot news at the moment? War. Is it?
Yeah.
War. Between Iran and USA. So that's what actually I wanted to bring about, a Bhagavad Gita perspective on the contemporary issues. When we say, or when we preach about Bhagavad Gita, we say Bhagavad Gita is the solution to all the problems. But sometimes we cannot relate how this problem can be solved from the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. Yeah?
Can I just say something? For me, yesterday I was having a quite intense moment for I have mental health problems. I didn't take my medication, so immense emotions, right? But I found that nature herself is frustrated by the ignorance of man, people not living so much in service to nature. So the frustration of nature is frustrating man, and it's causing these things like war and.
Yes, so today we'll be discussing along those lines, so you're on track. So yes, so a lot of things are going on and people are frustrated, there are wars going on, and we say that when we preach to people, we say Bhagavad Gita is the solution to all these problems. So today, of course, I'm not going to end this war between Iran and USA, but we see from a Bhagavad Gita point of view, why does such wars take place, and what are the possible solutions we can learn and we can imbibe from these things, so that it's not just about an external war which is taking place, but there are a lot of internal wars which are taking place as well within us. So how we can win over those wars. So I think let's get into the discussion. So we'll be speaking or discussing from Bhagavad Gita. So if everyone can grab a copy of Bhagavad Gita, that would be really good, so that we can all read the verse together. I will also be putting the verse on the screen, so anyone who doesn't have a copy can also see the verse on the screen. And get that. from Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are reading from chapter 16, which is the divine and demoniac natures, doing text number 9. So has everyone got a copy? Can someone give a copy to Dhananjay Prabhu, please? Verse 9. So chapter 16, the divine and demoniac natures, and doing text number 9. Okay, we'll do the word to word first, and then we'll do the words together, and then we'll go through the word to word translations, then translation, and then first word. Okay, let's do the word to word first. Can everyone repeat after me? Etam drishtim avashtabhya nashta atmanaha alpa buddhayah prabhavanti ugra karmanaha kshayaya jagatah ahitaha. Now we'll do the whole verse, one to one translation. Each sentence. But before that, I'll just offer some invocation prayers before we go into the verse. So before we say the verse, please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 So now let's go through the verse. I'll read one whole sentence, then you all repeat after me. Etam drishtimavashtabhya nashtamanolpabuddhayah prabhavatyugra karmanah kshayaya jagato hitaha. Etam drishtimavashtabhya nashtamanolpabuddhayah prabhavatyugra karmanah kshayaya jagato hitaha. Etam drishtimavashtabhya nashtamanolpabuddhayah prabhavatyugra karmanah kshayaya jagato hitaha. Would anyone like to recite? Etam drishtimatyatebhya apologies while I was reciting the verse. I didn't say the. Actually, I said Nashtamanolpabudhe, Nashtatmanolpabudhe. Okay. Okay, let's go to the word-to-word translations. Please repeat after me. Edam, this, drishtim, vision, avastabhya, accepting, nashta, having lost, atmanaha, themselves, alpabudhaya, the less intelligent, prabhavanti, flourish, ugrakarmanaha, engaged in painful activities, kshayaya, for destruction, jagataha, of the world, ahitaha, unbeneficial. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Following such conclusions, the demoniac who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. Please repeat after me. Following such conclusions, the demoniac who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The demoniac are engaged in activities that will lead the world to destruction. The Lord states here that they are less intelligent. The materialists who have no concept of God think that they are advancing. But according to Bhagavad Gita, they are unintelligent and devoid of all sense. They try to enjoy this material world to the utmost limit and therefore always engage in inventing something for sense gratification. Such materialistic inventions are considered to be advancement of human civilization, but the result is that people grow more and more violent and more cruel to animals and cruel to other human beings. They have no idea how to behave toward one another. Animal killing is very prominent amongst demoniac people. Such people are considered the enemies of the world because ultimately they will invent or create something which will bring destruction to all. Indirectly, this verse anticipates the invention of nuclear weapons, of which the whole world is today very proud. At any moment, war may take place, and these atomic weapons may create havoc. Such things are created solely for the destruction of the world, and this is indicated here. Due to godlessness, such weapons are invented in human society. They are not meant for the peace and prosperity of the world. Before we start our discussion, I just offer some invocation here. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjanashlakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamani Namaste Saraswate Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Eshatarani Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are discussing from the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita as it is, which the name suggests, the divine and demoniac natures. So why is Krishna speaking this chapter? Because before this 16th chapter, in the 15th chapter, which is called the Purushottama Yoga, or the Yoga of the Supreme Person, Krishna describes that this material world is like a banyan tree. But this is a very special banyan tree. Usually when we see plants or trees, like the one we have here or around the temple, we have roots at the bottom and the other parts of the tree upwards. But this material world is such a banyan tree that it has its roots upwards and the rest of the tree is toward downwards. It's like an inverted reflection of an actual tree. So if we see the tree on the bank of a river or a lake, we see the same tree upside down, where the roots appear on top and the rest of the tree appears at the bottom. So this material world is like dirt. The actual tree, which is at the shore of the lake or the shore of the river, but the perverted tree, which we see, is upside down. Similarly, the actual world or the actual creation is the spiritual world, where Krishna resides. And the world in which we are in is called the material world, which is like the perverted reflection of that original world. So whatever exists in that spiritual world, what we see in this material world is just a perverted reflection. In that spiritual world, people have no death, they are eternal. People have no misery, it's full of happiness, and there is no room for ignorance. But this material world, people have short lives, especially in this age of Kali Yuga. The duration of life is at most 100 years. You know, there's always a threat that one may die at any moment. We never know. We didn't come to this world, with a contract that, we'll live for a certain number of years. Death may take place at any moment. And in the spiritual world, where everything is full of knowledge and consciousness, in this material world, everything is full of ignorance. We're all born ignorant. Nobody is born here a scholar, unless you're an exceptional case. But most of civilization, they're born foolish. And then there's spiritual world. Every step is like a dance, and every word is like a song, and every day is like a festival. But here in this material world, there is one misery after another. We have several sources of miseries, out of which 3 are primary, which are stated in the Vedic literature as called Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, and Adidaivika. We have miseries coming from our own body. Now the weather is changing, people are falling sick. So that's like the miseries the body is, imparting on us or affecting us. And then we got miseries from other living entities. Sometimes, we have quarrel between our friends. We cannot get along with another person. It's really troublesome. So we got suffering, misery coming from another living entity. Or sometimes it may not be even a human being. It could be a mosquito coming to bite you, and that's causing you a pain. And the third source of misery is the material nature. We are just transitioning from winter to spring, and we've all experienced how horrible was winter. Let's leave aside winter. Even last night was so horrible. It was like storm going on. Winds everywhere. So in this way, we're always being tortured in this material world. It's because it's not our circumstance, it's not the things around us, but it's the very nature of this world, which is full of misery. In the Bhagavad Gita, this world has been described as Dukhalayam Ashashvatam. It's the world of misery. And everything in this world is temporary as well. So, even though it's a world full of misery, there is misery at every step, but still you get some happiness as well. It's like drowning a man in the ocean. You catch a person, drown him in the ocean, and when he's at the point that he's going to die, then you pull him up, and he feels a relief. So that kind of relief, is compared to the happiness we are getting in this world. To be honest, we do not know what is actual happiness. We consider the relief from suffering as happiness, but the actual happiness we haven't experienced, and that we cannot experience with matter. So in that way, we are being tortured in this material world. So that is why this is a place of misery. So, if you are in such a situation, if a person is intelligent, the first question that should arise in a person's mind is how to get out of this hellish condition of life, how to get out of this miserable world. If you're being tortured again and again, if you're intelligent, the first question or the first thought which comes into your mind is how to get out of it. So that is where the Vedic literature starts. We have the Vedanta sutras, where the first sutra in itself says Athato Brahma Jignasa, that now is the time to inquire about the Supreme Brahman. And who is that Supreme Brahman? From whom everything emanates. So, our ultimate goal of life should be to get out of this miserable world and to attain that ultimate world which is full of happiness. So, how do we achieve that? So that is how the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita starts, describing the material world as a perverted reflection of a banyan tree. And this banyan tree has many fixed roots growing all across. And these roots are compared, there are roots as well as there are additional roots to the banyan tree which are going downwards. So these roots are considered to be the activities of the living entity. So whatever activities we are performing, they are giving us a reaction. If we are suffering now, that means we have committed something which is really bad. That caused us this suffering. And if we are enjoying now, that means we have done something which is pleasing or which is pious. That's what is giving us this result. So, but it's like a cycle. You do something wrong, you get entangled. You do something good, you enjoy. But how do we cut this cycle of karma? This is called the cycle of karma, the chain of action and reaction. So Bhagavad Gita suggests that we need to cut this chain or cut these additional roots of this banyan tree with a sword of detachment. So that detachment is very important. And there are so many things to consider on what we need to do and what we shouldn't do. So then comes the kind of living entities who are present in this world. So when we think of activities, there are pious activities, there are sinful activities. There are something good activities, some bad activities. Similarly, when we think of living entities, there are two kinds of living entities. One kind of living entity is called a divine, godly, and the other kind of living entity is called a demoniac or asuric. So, does it mean that only the divine came from this God and the demoniac came from someone else? No. So both this divine and demoniac living entities, they originate from the Supreme Lord. In the same 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna states, Mamevamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manashrestani indriyani prakrutistani karshati. So he says, all these living entities, no matter whether divine or demoniac, they're all my parts and parcels. And having forgotten me, they have come to this material world and they're struggling with their six senses, which includes the mind. So this is how the living entities are constituted in this material world. We have two kinds of living entities. One, the divine, the other, the demoniac. And it is not like Krishna didn't speak about the divine and demoniac living entities until the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna gave us few hints even previously to the 16th chapter as well. If we say the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Maya Jakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam Hetunanina Kaunteya Jagat Viparivartate. This whole material nature is working under my supervision and it's giving so many moving and non-moving living entities. But the demons, they do not believe it. So and Krishna also addressed that. Right after that verse, Krishna says, Avajananti Mamudha, in the sense, fools deride me when I descend in this material world. And they are complete, or they always live in delusion and engage in harmful work. But on the other hand, there are other kinds of living entities who believe that Krishna says as Mahatmanas Tamam Partha. Who are Mahatmas? They believe that this material manifestation is an energy of Krishna. So everything is coming out of Krishna. Krishna is the cause of all that is happening. So the 16th chapter is not the only place where Krishna speaks about the divine and demoniac natures. There are certain other places as well in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna speaks about the divine and demoniac natures. So especially here in the 16th chapter, he speaks about the divine and demoniac natures, so that devotees are, it's just instructing us how we may act in this material world. So as we said, there are these activities, the extra roots of the living entities are like the activities, and how one can chop off these activities. So the divine and demoniac natures. So Krishna starts this chapter telling the characteristics of the divine and demoniac. So we are all parts and parcels of Krishna. We are in this material world. We are suffering the three types of miseries. But ultimately there are four main problems of a human being. They are birth, death, old age and disease. And our ultimate aim of life should be to get out of these four problems and to reach the spiritual world where there is no birth, death, old age and disease. So in order to achieve that, it is very essential that one develop divine characteristics. So in the beginning of this chapter starts with three verses which define the demoniac characteristics. We won't go through all of them because then we will run out of time. But later on, Krishna describes the demoniac nature as well. So why this divine and demoniac nature is important is because Krishna says in the same chapter that Daivi Sampad Vimokshaya, these divine characteristics, they help us towards liberation or getting out of this miserable world. Whereas these demoniac natures, or the ones which we are reading now, they entrap us, they bound us to this material world. So it is very essential for every one of us to develop these divine characteristics. So today we won't discuss the divine characteristics. However, we will see the demoniac characteristics because our subject matter is why is there war going on in this world? And it is very much related to these things. So I'll go through it as quickly as I can. So we'll go through the demoniac characteristics. So should I share? I can share actually. Yeah, let me share. We can all read them together. So one of the first demoniac characteristics is, it starts from the verse 7 of this chapter, which is the demoniac, they do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness, nor proper behavior, nor truth is found in them. So this is one of the first characteristics of a demoniac person. So they do not know what should be done and what should not be done. Everything is according to their mentality. If they desire something needs to be done, they do it. If they desire something not to be done, they won't do it. But there is no basis like structured injunctions. Okay, this is what it says, this is what needs to be done, I'll do it. This is what should not be done, I won't do it. So the moral codes of what should be done and what should not be done is given in the Vedic literatures or the Shastras. But the demoniac people, they do not consult such Vedic literatures. They act according to their own whims. So they create havoc in this world. And in them, we don't find any cleanliness, nor proper behavior, and any truth is found in them. Regarding truth, I won't say anything. If you are following news, you will know already what the leaders are stating. So, the next characteristic of the demoniac people is they say that this world is unreal, with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no other cause other than lust. So they think that this world is phantasmagoria. If you ask the philosophers or the researchers or the scientists, they think that everyone has their own theories. Some of them think that we're all dreaming, we're all not living. Everything is a dream, and at the end, everything becomes void. There's nothing. So it's not that everyone believes in the same point. They have their own theories. One believes in some things. One of the scientists, he said that everything is a dream. We are all imagining. And one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, he challenged them, saying that if everything is dream and everything is imaginary, let me take this imaginary chair and break your head, and everything is imaginary because the chair is imaginary, you are imaginary, and the smashing of your head is also an imaginary thing. So this is how they are. And some have their own theories. They say that the world is produced of chemicals. You are a chemical, I am a bunch of chemicals, and by the combination of chemicals, we all came into existence, and at the time of death, what happens is, these chemicals, they expire, and that we call it as death. If that is the case, again, our devotees have challenged some of these scientists, saying that if that is the case, that the chemicals have produced life, we'll give you all the chemicals required to produce life. You produce the life and prove that when the chemicals are expired, the life is lost. When this question was asked to them, the answer was that we cannot say. So they're promising that they can produce life with chemicals, but when they are asked to guarantee that you can definitely produce life, they say we can produce it in the future, or we don't know. So this is how the demoniac people have, this is their characteristic. They say that everything is unreal, everything is imaginary, there's no foundation, there's no God, there's no controller. And how everything came to existence, it's all because of sex desire. It's like man and woman combine, they produce. Two animals combine, they produce. Then Srila Prabhupada put a challenge. What about living entities which are coming out of perspiration? Is there a combination of two opposite sexes there? A lot of bacteria is coming out of perspiration. What about that? And if you don't agree to that, there's also a lot of living entities coming out of dead bodies. What about that? But they do not have any answer. But they claim, and these theories are very prominent even in the society now. In 1960s and 70s, when Prabhupada used to speak to the scientists, they used to say that we cannot produce life at the moment, but in 50 years we should be able to produce life. Yesterday I was hearing, I don't know where, but one of the devotees, actually I was hearing a conversation of Prabhupada with some of the devotees in 1977 in Jagannath Puri, and one of the devotees were saying to Prabhupada that they were in a flight, and they were traveling, and behind them there were a few scientists sitting, and the scientists were discussing like, I wish I could live until 2000s. This was in 1977, so they were like, I wish I could live until 2000s. Why? Because the whole world will change. We'll be in a position where we'll be able to create life, or we'll be able to create this. The whole world will be different. The whole world will change. But now we are in 2026. Nothing has changed so dramatic. It's just that the people who said they have passed away. So nothing more than that has happened. So this is how the demoniac are. So we'll move on to the next verse. So today's verse, which says, following such conclusions, the demoniac who are lost to themselves, who have no intelligence, engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. So they think they don't know what needs to be done, what should not be done. They do not have proper behavior, nor do they are truthful, nor do they have, any belief that there is a controller, and they think that there is no foundation. And based on all these conclusions, they think that we can do whatever we want. We are the proprietors of the world. I am the president of such and such country. I have these many weapons. I have this much military. I have this much control. I can do whatever I want. So this is all the demoniac mentality. And based on these conclusions, people, there's a lot of unpeace or disturbance in the society. Today is Easter Sunday, the day of resurrection of Jesus Christ. And a few days back we had the Good Friday, the day when the crucifixion of Jesus Christ has taken place. So one of the characteristics of these demons is they do not even tolerate anything, good happening in the world. Anything which is beneficial, anything which is for the upliftment of the society, anything which would spiritually uplift the society or enliven the people, these demons, they oppose these things. This morning I was reading Prabhupada's lecture on one of these verses, the transcriptions, and Prabhupada was saying that even in 26th Avenue when he was living, they used to have their morning program, and as soon as it was 7 o'clock, they would have their Bhagavatam class and so on, and immediately the neighbors would knock the doors, like, no, it's like you're producing so much noise, we can't tolerate such noise. And sometimes they would even call the police. But Prabhupada used to say, on this 22nd Avenue, there are so many trucks going on, there are so many heavy vehicles going on, there's so much digging of ground going on, there's so much nuisance going on, nobody has a word to say, but as soon as there is a kirtan going on, as soon as there is a spiritual discussion going on, similarly, all the demons, they unite together to oppose. So, and Prabhupada compares it to ghosts, Only ghosts get agitated when there's some spiritual things are going on. So Prabhupada compared these people like ghosts. As soon as there is a ghost, and as soon as there is a ghost in a house and you do something spiritual, there's a lot of agitation happening. I was also reading that in John Lennon's estate, when Prabhupada was there was in one of his guest rooms, there was a ghost living. And Prabhupada instructed them, just go and chant Hare Krishna, and the ghost will go away. And the devotees did, and it did happen, that the ghost went off. So these demoniac people, they are no better than ghosts. So as soon as, they won't oppose anything, but as soon as you do something spiritual, they oppose. Yesterday one lady was telling me, when I was giving her a mantra card, she asked me, are you giving leaflets? I said, no, I'm not giving leaflet, I'm just giving a meditation mantra card. And she was like, yeah, you better don't give leaflets because the council arrests if you're giving leaflets nowadays. I was like surprised, like, oh gosh. Yeah. So that was something interesting for me to know as well. But so these things are going on in the society because we are surrounded by demoniac forces. So, what is this? Okay, I just said that today is Easter Sunday. So similarly, even anyone who is spiritual, who was trying to spread something spiritual, they had to face a lot of opposition. In the life of even Jesus Christ, we saw he was not spreading nothing but the name of God. In whichever way, to whatever extent, based on the time, place and circumstance and the people whom he was surrounded by. He was preaching the name of God. But what happened to him? Just few days back, hundreds of years back, they crucified him. So this is the age we are living in. Even if you are a devotee, you're spreading, God consciousness. You will be crucified. And today is Easter Sunday, the day of resurrection. It is said that today is the day when Jesus Christ came back to life again, and that's what proved that he was a holy personality. So in the same way, no matter how much these demoniac forces try to suppress us or oppose God consciousness movements or Krishna consciousness movement, the spiritual forces always win over the demoniac. Few days last week we were celebrating Ram Navami festival, and we say that's the battle between the divine and demoniac. Ravana represented the demoniac force, and the Ram represented the divine force. And then at the end, the victory was of Lord Ram's. So on that occasion, we celebrate the festival Diwali. The victory over evil, or the victory over darkness. So no matter how much these demoniac forces they try to attack, but at the end, there will always be some personality who will be pushing on God consciousness moments. And at the present moment, recently, actually let me make this point before I say. It is said in the Vedic scriptures that, we have the 4 yugas, the Satya Yuga, the Dwapara Yuga, the Treta Yuga, and the Kali Yuga. So these are like the cycles, or the phases of, or the time measurement on which the universe runs. So in the Satya Yuga, which is like the first yuga, or the first, I don't know how to put it in simple words, but the first phase of the creation, let me put it in this way. It's not exactly creation, but anyway, you get it. So I won't describe it much. Just think Satya Yuga is like the age, one of the ages, one of the 4 ages. So in Satya Yuga, it is said that these demoniac forces, they lived on different planets. So there was interplanetary quarrel. So just like Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, they were living in different planets. We see that he drowned the whole earth into the ocean. But when it came to the second age, which is the age of Treta Yuga, so it happened that all the demons, they started to reside on this planet, but in different continents or different countries. They were just like we had Ravana, who was living in Lanka, and whereas the Vedic civilization, Lord Ram's, it was on the other side of the country. It was in India. So like that, the demoniac forces, they lived in different countries or different parts of the world. But in Treta Yuga, in Dwapara Yuga, it happened that the same divine and demoniac forces, they lived in the same family. We see the Pandavas and the Kauravas. They are like and the whole Bhagavad Gita is the battle between the Pandavas and Kauravas. It's the battle between the divine and demoniac. They lived in the same family. But when it comes to Kali Yuga, it is said that both this divine and demoniac natures, they live in the same person. So in us, we have the same divine characteristic. There's a good side of us, and to be honest, unfortunately, we also have a bad side of us as well. So that is why all these instructions are given in the Bhagavad Gita, that if there are 2 dogs and if there is a fight between the 2 dogs, which dog wins? The stronger one. How does the dog become stronger? Sorry? Barking loudly? No, that's okay. But how does it become strong? How can you make your dog stronger? By feeding. So we have both the divine and demoniac natures. So if you want a good dog to win, you need to feed that dog. And if you feed the wrong dog, then the wrong dog wins. So similarly, we have this same divine and demoniac natures. So which one do you want to win? Do you want a divine force to win within you, or do you want a demoniac force to win within you? It depends on you. And which dog you feed to, or which characteristic you let it to flourish, or which characteristic you cultivate. So I was saying that whenever there was an interruption, or whenever that spiritual consciousness or God consciousness moments are disturbed by demoniac forces, there have always been some divine personalities appearing to revive the divine nature, or a divine power, or the positivity, or the spiritual potency. So and like now I said, we are living in Kali Yuga, where both the divine and demoniac natures live within us. That Krishna himself came to take us out of this demoniac culture, or the demoniac, or bring us out of these demoniac characteristics and help us cultivate the divine characteristics. And that incarnation of Krishna is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So here if we see, in this verse especially, is my screen still there? Okay. Sorry, so that's clear. Okay. So here in this verse, the word Alpamedhasa is being used here. If you see, Alpamedhasa means the less intelligent. I know I'm conscious of time. It's already 4:30. Just give me a few more minutes. I'll conclude the talk. So, the word Alpamedhasa, which means less intelligent. So the demons are generally, or the people with demoniac characteristics, are less intelligent. They do not know what needs to be done, what should not be done, what is correct, what is wrong. But opposite to this word, Alpamedhasa, there is another word called Sumedhasa. Sumedhasa means those who are intelligent. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a beautiful verse which says the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's called Krishna Varnam Trisha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayer Yajantehi Sumedhasa. So in this Kali Yuga, in order to revive the spiritual culture, or in order to revive Krishna consciousness, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has himself appeared with all his associates, entourage, weapons and everything. And in this age, he's Krishna himself, but he hasn't come as Krishna or with the same complexion of Krishna, but he came in a different complexion, and that is the golden complexion. That's why you see the deities here, they are in the golden complexion. So it's Krishna himself, but not with his own complexion, but with a golden complexion. And why did he come? To revive this Sankirtan movement, Yagyai Sankirtana Prayai, to re-establish that Sankirtan, chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, as the religious principle of this age. And who will take part in this movement? This Sumedhasa, or those who are intelligent. They take part in the Sankirtan movement. So this Alpamedhasa, this less intelligent, the demoniac people, they oppose this Krishna consciousness movement. Whereas those who are Sumedhasa, those who are genuinely honest, they take up to this Krishna consciousness. And if we say, well, what about the demons then, who oppose? Are they left to remain demons throughout their whole life? No. Another important mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Sankirtan, in the sense, going out and preaching this Krishna consciousness, or doing the Sankirtan for the masses of people, whether you're Sumedhasa or you're Alpamedhasa, you're less intelligent or you're truly intelligent, everyone gets the mercy and everyone is given an opportunity to become intelligent and take part in this Krishna consciousness moment. So, another verse which I'll quote and then I'll wind it up there. So, in this Kali Yuga, which is an ocean of faults, as stated in the Bhagavatam 12th canto, Kalera doshne de rajan aste ko mahan gunan kirtana deva krishnasya mukta sangam param brajet. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared and has given us this Sankirtan. So although this Kali Yuga is full of faults, although there are so many wars going on, although there is so much unrest in the world, although a lot of suppression is happening even against the Krishna consciousness movement, our only mission should be to do as and to engage ourselves in the moment of Sankirtan. Because although this Kali Yuga is full of faults, the Sankirtan is the only way by which we can cross over this Kali Yuga, which is an ocean of miseries. And don't think that, okay, there is one war going on, or there are a couple of wars going on. Let's forget about Iran and America, which recently started. There was a war going on between Ukraine and Russia. There's a war going on between, Israel and Gaza a few months back. And there was a war going on between Thailand and Cambodia. And there are so many internal wars going on between African nations. There are so many wars going on between India and Pakistan. There's so much going on in Bangladesh. There's so much. And leave aside all these things. There's so many internal wars going on within us. And the only solution to all these problems is this Krishna consciousness moment, or this Sankirtan moment. So, as members of the Krishna consciousness movement, it is our prime duty that we take up this Sankirtan movement and stop these evil forces of Kali Yuga. So, I'll stop there and thank you. Hare Krishna. If there are any questions, reflections, you're welcome. Hare Krishna.
I was just thinking that qualities were what Krishna talks about in text 4, he outlines the 6 qualities of the and one of them is ignorance. And I was just thinking that in the world when we see these wars, people who they're definitely in ignorance of who they are themselves.
True.
They're definitely in ignorance that they're a spirit, soul, and life eternal.
Yes.
And they're definitely in ignorance of karma.
They are.
Life after this, there's real ignorance there, apart from other qualities. I think ignorance is one of the most important qualities that we can pick out from the life.
Yeah. I think there is a saying, isn't it? Ignorance is the cause of suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Mataji, for sharing. Yes, Rajendra Prabhu.
Yeah, hi Guru. Thanks for the nice lecture. I just have a quick reflection, and it also says in the Bhagavad Gita that envy is a human characteristic, being envious.
Yeah.
And for us to even be here in the material world is because we have been envious of Krishna. So in that aspect, in that aspect, we all have human qualities.
Yes.
In a way. But it's very nice to know that regardless of that, there's still hope, even if for human people they're not condemned. So even if we have these divine qualities, we can still cultivate divine qualities, and by the mercy of the Lord, we can still get out. We can still become better. And also, for example, of even Prabhupada Maharaj,
Yes.
born in the Indian family,
Yes.
who was actually a demon. But he was a devotee in a demon body.
True. Yeah.
I was just thinking about, the lecture made me think about this.
Yeah, it's a very good example. Like Prahlad Maharaj, it's not like if you're born a demon, you remain a demon. It's like, even being born a demon, you can be the best divine person. And that example is Prahlad Maharaj, who was son of a greatest demon one could ever imagine. But he was the greatest devotee as well, whom one could ever imagine. I just go to Dhananjay Prabhu and I
So,
come back.
In this particular chapter, Krishna, he mentions the demoniac qualities, but some of them are very extreme. They may not specifically relate to us. We may have some of these qualities, but we may not have them in a great quantity. Like, for example, we mentioned people like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu. We're not necessarily in the same bracket as what they are. And ordinary people on the street may not be like that either. I think Prabhupada says that most people are innocent. We know even nowadays that a lot of leaders are demoniac. Maybe the ordinary people in general are not necessarily like that.
Yeah.
Because I think if we focalize a lot on the fact that we have demoniac qualities, you can develop a very negative complex about yourself, which is not necessarily realistic to our situation. Divine qualities, yes, we can definitely develop those. But there's one verse here, he is my enemy and I have killed him. I mean, not many people think like that. And if we're led to believe that we have all these qualities, and say you can develop a very negative attitude about yourself, and you could lose some self-esteem actually because of that as well.
Yeah.
The other point was Prabhupada in the purple, he talks about animal killing. And I think that's a very important thing about wars, because Prabhupada says as long as there's slaughterhouses, there will be wars. So I think actually trying to get people to give up that activities is something which would be really beneficial in society.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Those are really wonderful points, actually. Yeah, we need to. It's like we have both divine and demoniac nature. So let's focus on the divine nature and let's feed the good dog rather than focusing on the demoniac natures. And also, as Prabhu was highlighting, yeah, it's like we sometimes say that the slaughter of human beings as actual slaughter, but when it comes to animals, we do not consider them as actually slaughtering. But it's very important to know that each and every living entity which we see is a part and parcel of Krishna. It's not just the human beings as part and parcels of Krishna, but every living entity. So real non-violence means, of course, it doesn't just mean you should not commit any violence to any living entity, but also to not leave any living entity in distress. Or Srila Prabhupada says one of the meanings of non-violence is to bring the living entity out of the cycle of birth, death, oath, and disease. And that is the real non-violence as well. But the beginning of it starts with actual non-violence, which is no killing of animals. It's very important. Anyone else? Yes, bro. Yes.
The Kali-yuga is due to run for years, and it started before the death of this disciples of the Maharaj Parikshit.
Yes.
Now it still will run with the Satyuga against its own position according to Bhagavad Gita. 23430 multiplied by that every year. But from the last year, the culprit is Dharma Yuga, a part of Kali Yuga, where people will become more dharma conscious. So it started from the 30th March 613 to 17.
I see.
Last year.
Okay.
So those who believe they will participate in dharma karma.
Right.
And those still demonic, they won't take it. Kali Yuga will run with it.
Yes, yes.
So they will attain their own fate.
Yeah. We also say that after the appearance of Lord Chaitanya for the next 10,000 years, it's like the golden age. So it's like whoever born in this period are very fortunate because they get in contact with Sankirtan movement and then they get delivered. So, but thanks for making that point. Anyone else? Or otherwise we'll stop it here. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai.
Vasuśrestha Dāsa.